Perfect. I feel like I always end up having technical difficulties trying to get these on the screen. So welcome to our spring conference. We're so excited to have you all here today. And we're really excited for you to be a part of our network. So we're going to go over a couple of different things today. We'll give you all lots of time to talk to each other, share insights, and talk about goals for the upcoming year. We'll give you all a couple of updates on our end and talk about some of the cool new tools and resources that we've been developing for our community. And then at the end, we'll close it out by talking about some of our collective goals for this year. Here's our current SBNC national team. My name is Paige, and I'm one of the co-founders and the executive director. And I started this organization as a college student. I founded it with a group of students in 2020. And we've grown a lot since then. And honestly, a lot of that is all because of you all and your interest in pursuing basic needs work and supporting students and each other. So we're very thankful for that. So I'd love to just throw you all right into a breakout discussion. I'd love for you all to talk about one challenge that you're facing on your campus or in your community, and then think about how we might be able to help you. So I'll give you all about 5 minutes in your breakout rooms. And yeah, let me see if I can get this set up. Great. I think everyone should be trickling back in now. I'd love to get a volunteer from each room to tell me, what are some of the challenges you talked about, and, share what you think has been going on. I know we're in a very challenging time right now, for a lot of funding and, just, honestly, everything's kind of a mess. So I think it's totally reasonable if you don't know for sure what all of the challenges are. But yeah, I'd love to just get a sense of that.
Go for our group. Hi, y'all. My name is Morgan Kirk. I am the Basic Needs Manager at Coastline Community College in Fountain Valley, California. Essentially, it's Orange County. But within our group, we talked about a couple of challenges that we are experiencing at our own organizations or institutions. First, staffing, right? So, we are pretty much short-staffed. Space, right? Spacing for food pantries that we are looking to start and launch, and experiencing that pushback from administration. And so how can we have those deep and tough conversations, but also for them to understand what's going on, as well as really getting administration and the community on board about food insecurity and how it has impacted students across our institutions, right? And making sure that, we need to leave our biases at the door and really just understanding what basic needs look like for a college student. And so just trying to break down some of those mindsets and really bringing everyone together to understand that our students are facing some of these challenges, and how can we as an institution come together and really rally for those students so they can, graduate and thrive. Group, I hope I covered everything, group. Okay, I see some nods. Perfect, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'd love to hear from some of the other groups.
Well, I can start and then I'll let my group jump in. We noticed like across many campuses right now is like the big immigration legal services given all of the executive orders, especially for campuses that have high amount of refugee students, and of course the Indaki students, international students. So that's a big one, along with the getting local like landlords or like housing for students as well. It was another one for like food insecurity and housing. It's also a big one. So it seems like even though we're in very many parts like across the country, it seems like a overall general like problem.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really pressing situation right now. Does anyone else want to share what they talked about, or maybe something you didn't talk about?
I think Yuriko did a great job with representing our group. I think for me, not being in this lane as a professional, but being in this lane passionately, it's interesting that, as Yuriko mentioned, across the country, we're having some of the same issues. That's what's remarkable for me, and that's why I'm so interested in being in this program.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. Um, and yeah, we'll have a couple more chances to talk in groups too. Do you all feel like that was enough time, or do you need more time to get everything out when you're in the groups?
I think we could have used a little bit more time. We were a very talkative group, so Yuriko was great to kind of wrap it up in like 30 seconds. She did a great job, but maybe like 10 more minutes. I think what's so awesome is that we're connecting on so many different levels that I'm sure that we could all talk for a long time, but maybe a few more minutes would be great.
Cool. Okay, we can definitely do that. So we want to share some of our data with you from last year, just some highlights. So we connected students to $1.5 million in SNAP benefits. And we grew our movement to 72 campuses in 25 states. And all of that is thanks to our community partners, the colleges, and the students that we work with. So we have a couple of upcoming events and items that we wanted to flag for you all, and I'll make sure to send the links to sign up for any of these in the follow-up email. So after this, I'll send out the recording and all of this stuff as well. So first of all, we have Student Debt Month, which is coming up in April. And any campus who participates will have the chance to win $1,000 based on the actions that they take during this month. Our goal is to find student leaders to kind of lead these efforts on each campus. So if you're a student, or if you have any students that you think would be good for this, especially students who are already involved in like student government or another student organization, that would be great. And we're going to have an info session on this a little bit later in February. And then I think the month will end with a keynote speaker that we'll be able to announce later, but it should be a very exciting event. So we're excited to be able to connect students to resources and raise awareness for the issue and do some advocacy as well. As we know, this is a very important issue. And yeah, I think there's a lot that we can do about this. Cool. So now we're going to jump into our next breakout room. And I'll give you all a little bit more time this time. think everyone is back in here. Does anyone want to share out what you talked about?
Paige, you pulled us out in the middle of a shocking conversation, so we need a second.
Uh-oh. What's the shocking conversation? I feel like now we need to hear.
An institution's correlation between a student's cost of attendance and their ability to receive aid or assistance.
Oh,
I feel like I can't speak on it, and I don't want to call them out if they don't want to talk about it.
yeah, that's totally fair.
No, it's fine. My institution is having problems with cost of attendance because people are reaching students are reaching cost of attendance, and therefore cannot no longer receive like transportation places. They can't receive food if we're tracking it, like that sort of thing. I don't know where these rules are coming from, but they're trickling down from supervisors to me. And I don't know if that's coming from federal law or state law. So
And Hayes, it almost sounds like they're using the phrase cost of attendance inappropriately, right? There's a
okay.
difference between direct cost, which is what it costs for a student to attend the college, right? With tuition, fees, room and board, and
Mhm.
what they're saying is their bill, versus cost of attendance, which also includes those indirect costs, like additional food outside of what is included in the meal plan. Looking at things like how transportation to get other places, right? Whether they need gas for their car or money for a bus or whatever that might be. That's cost of attendance versus direct cost.
Okay. Yeah, so I would like to learn more. Thank you everyone who has helped me try to navigate this. So
Yeah, I think I've heard of that too. I feel like a lot of schools, I feel like there must be some sort of policy where like financial aid can't exceed the cost of attendance, but usually that doesn't include like food related things or like other non-monetary aid. I think you said before that school people on your campus are required to have a meal plan. Is that right? Yeah, so that kind of eliminates their ability to access like SNAP. Um, yeah, that's definitely a challenging situation. I like the suggestion of getting the financial aid office to increase the cost of attendance that Grace put in the chat.
Yeah, I'll just share personally when I had my son my senior year, they were able to say I needed money for diapers, so they made the cost of attendance higher because it was a need. And then I was able to take out more loans. Yay. But it's all good.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful to know that that's a possibility. Anyone else have anything that they want to share from this conversation?
I can start with what I shared with our group, but I would love for them to jump in. Is that I'm really looking forward to our students being so involved and really advocating for themselves and advocating for their peers on campus. I know COVID did quite a number on our students and our staff, but seeing them come like with full force now, realizing the gaps in like what they need, closing the barriers, because I mean, students know students best, like, so they can identify like where maybe the campus is lacking, what they can do differently, how they can implement different changes, and really being those like champions for themselves and realizing how much power their voices have. And it's really just really nice to see that kind of 180 that we had before and really take charge of like what is needed, how they can communicate that, how they can make change, how they can, if there's something working, how they can make it better, or if there's something that exists, how can it reach more people? So I'm just excited to see them grow in that and see the ripple effect of their work.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's so great to have that like student perspective. And let us know if there's any other resources that we can provide for the students as they go about this work too. Is there anything that you all identified in either of these conversations that you think you need more support with in general, like to be able to accomplish, or address some of these challenges that you all are having?
Paige, I'm sorry to jump in. I feel like I've talked a bunch right now, but I think one of the things that our group all resonated with was, changes to federal legislation. I don't know if the SBNC has connections to legislators nationally that can talk about what's happening and how it's going to impact aid for students on a national level. I think that help and direction would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. So
And
sorry,
one
slides
one
keep
area real quick is that our group spoke about data collection, because oftentimes decision makers are so far removed from this work. And oftentimes when we are representing those qualitative stories, they're not moved to make decisions around it until they see data and numbers in terms of financial numbers. So really looking at how do we build a case with students to help students advocate through data, to then be able to share that qualitative story behind as well. So I think that's going to be critical for our group.
Yeah, I love that conversation about data. One thing that we helped a group of students in Tennessee do before, which I think we could help, anyone in here do as well and replicate it. We helped them draft legislation to require there to be a study done at all of the public universities in the state, on the status of food insecurity and what colleges in the state were doing to address it. So, we're happy to share the language of that legislation or help with some of our strategy. And I think a key aspect of this that might be encouraging to some of you is that we were able to get this passed in Tennessee, which, historically has been adverse to some of these things. And now the legislators there are coming up with their own legislation based off of the results, and they feel like it's their idea. So we love that. So yeah, I can send more information about that too. And y'all can let us know if there's any way that we can support you in that. We're hoping to ramp up our advocacy work a lot this year. Cool. Anything else that feels important to share right now? Great. So we have a couple of new tools and resources that we want to share with you. And like I mentioned, I'll make sure to get this all to you after the call as well. So first of all, we recently developed a new custom eligibility screener and application tool for students to access SNAP and Medicaid. So we're really excited to share this with you all. We have a couple different versions of this. So we have a free version that incorporates, the eligibility screener and the potential to send you all some data about the dollar amount and benefits that has been unlocked. And then we also have some capability to send surveys out to the students as well through the system. So if anyone is interested in trying this out, we have a demo day on February 12th at 1 p.m. And if you register, even if you can't attend, we'll make sure to send it out to you. And yes, I'll include the links to register to this in the follow-up email. Yeah, we're really excited about this tool. We designed it ourselves with the help of some tech people, so we made sure that it's really customized for what students need. And then the second thing is that we have a Mighty Network group, which is essentially like a community platform. And here's an example of like what some of the platforms look like. And it has a bunch of resources on it. We'll input all of our toolkits on there and any upcoming events that we have or other resources. So I'll make sure to send the link to join that as well. And I think that'll be a really good space to continue some of these conversations. Great. And then we also have our Momentum Institute session, which is starting in a couple of weeks. I know some of you on this call are participating in that, but we would love to have any students or early career administrators who want to learn more about campus level advocacy and developing campaign plans to join us in that. So I'll make sure to send out the link to indicate interest in that as well. Yeah, and that'll be led by Alexis, who's our really amazing program manager. Great. And now we're going to talk about, go back to another breakout room and talk about what strategies have worked in the past. How can you scale the successes that you've had? How can you coordinate the efforts? And what additional support tools do you need to meet those goals? So I'll give you all around 10 minutes for that, and then we'll wrap it up after that.
Could you add the questions to the chat, please?
Okay, great. Looks like everyone's back now. Does anyone want to share what they talked about in their group?
I can go from my group. I think we agreed that success is having an impact. Even if you're helping, like you have 10 goals or something, at least just hitting 2, 3, that's success, just having a impact on students and being able to make sure that they leave with something that's memorable.
Yeah, I love that. Making progress on whatever you can.
I'll go ahead and jump in for my group, even though they're the professionals and I'm the passionate one. We talked about those small steps, just being able to have those small wins, those daily wins are important. And then we also talked about having to have the retention and the graduation rates of those students increase.
Great. Anyone else have any last words of wisdom or closing statements that they want to get out?
Paige, I wanted to share thank you for convening such a group. We had a conversation right as it closed. There was an ask for, are there strategies that others could share about running a successful food pantry?
Oh,
And I was thinking about that a bit. I think in the work that we do, one of the most important aspects when it comes to basic needs for students or just humans in general is this idea of solidarity to make whatever space you're trying to create or provide access to feel like you aren't a part of a stigma and that everyone is welcome. So if you call it a food pantry, students are going to assume that it's only for people who really need it, but that student might be that one that's only eating ramen every day and they don't realize that they are in need. They have a need. So finding ways to develop this sense of solidarity and community that also provides those needs and provides those services, and having that student feel that they're supported but also not different. You don't ever want those students to feel like they're different than the others.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's really, really great to hear. Cool. Well, thank you all so much for coming today. I will make sure that I send you all the recording and all of the relevant links. So yeah, that's all I have for you. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them or stay on. I'll be here for a couple more minutes.